So here we go. This is the start. First piece right here. Oh, really? It's too tight? Oh, motherfucker. So at this point, I had just about all the wiring, pretty much all the little bits off, except for the front bracketry and everything like that. Had the upper intake off. Um, I was having problems getting one of the the power steering bolts out of the head there. You'll see me point to it there. Yep. You can see a bunch of rust there to the right that you'll see me addressed here later in the video. Um, I'm just recording over this because I had music playing in the background. I didn't realize you could hear it in the video, and I don't want my video to get flagged for anything like that. So at this point, I had just a few things left, like the injectors, the fuel rail, the two heater hoses on the firewall, and it's pretty much ready to yank out. The only thing I could have done at this point to make it a little bit easier was obviously take the flange bolt loose right there at the collector, right there where I'm pointing, and took the manifolds off before I yanked it out. Just telling you this after the fact. Um, would have made it a lot easier. They're just in the way. Not that it was hard, but yep, at this point, just fixing to yank this thing out. Boy, she's actually in really good shape. That's just the coolant heater. I mean, the heater hose drain there. But she's actually kind of clean in here. Only spot that I've found is, as you can see down in here, some surfacey coming through, and in the tray down there, I'm gonna sandblast that guy out. You can see, yeah. But yeah, not too shabby. She's out. God, I mean, it's like disgusting. Just, yeah. I can't believe it ran this good. I mean, it didn't smoke, didn't tick, didn't. I mean, it leaked. To pressure wash this out, I'm going to use the gunk, same stuff that me and Mike used to do his motor. Shout out to Mike. The old OGs. Both OGs are actually in this picture. Are doing strong. But yeah, I'm gonna sandblast it out because I already have to touch up a little bit of rust in there anyway. So I'm gonna sandblast the engine bay after I get all the wires, all of it. Boom, fold it over the fender there. Pressure wash it out with some gunk, engine soap or foam, whatever you want to call it, and paint it black in there. I'm up to about 10 grand and everything in the motor. So at this point, I had the motor out. I'm just talking about how I was going to get all the wires out of my way to clean it up and sandblast it and paint the engine bay. I decided I was going to basically get everything I can out of the way and fold it out of each side where it comes out of the fender well or through the firewall. Kind of like that one wire is hanging over the or draped over the fender there. Um, of course, I really didn't need to sandblast the actual firewall, so that was my whole purpose behind this. The firewall was really clean and really just needed to be scuffed up and wire wheeled and it could be painted. Um, just needed to paint everything forward from that.
So I don't know if you can tell a difference on here, but I sure can. It is eating that shit away like a motherfucker. I don't know if you saw it when you were here last, but goddamn, this is like I haven't let it sit the entire 30 minutes, but I've done like 10, 15-minute intervals just to try to get like because I mean it's pretty pitted, so like I was trying to get all the light stuff that it could eat away really quickly out of there really quick, and then let it sit on the deep stuff. So that's what I'm doing now. I've already done it like 4 or 5 times. Now I'm just gonna let it sit for the full 30 minutes and see if we can get some of that out of there. But as you can tell, man, like it is just to give you an idea of how many parts I have for this thing. These boxes are literally like busting at the seams. That one's literally busted open. I got another box I've already opened right here. Alright, they're full to the brim. I got a MSD distributor, but I didn't get just any MSD distributor. I got the ProBillet distributor. I went all out. Everything. That bitch is bad. Right there, son. Everything. Got the actual shifter base right here. Got my BBK shit down there. Mishimoto hoses, dude. Mishimoto rig.
So in this one, I had pretty much the whole entire engine bay painted. I didn't do the front core of the core support, radiator support, whatever you want to call it, or the very top of the firewall, because I will be painting the outside of this car. And this isn't perfect. I am going to restore the whole car eventually, but I'm trying to drive it right now. I want to enjoy the thing. I've worked really hard on it up until this point. Still got a long way to go, but yeah, just want to enjoy it really right now. It's in really good shape. Yeah, I'm just here showing it off a little bit. I had videos of the engine bay being primed and everything, but I lost all that footage, unfortunately. So at this point, I'm assembling the front suspension. I have it all pretty much together, at least mocked up. I went with the UPR K-member Viking coilovers and still on the factory Foxbody spindle, caster camera plates, and a whole bunch of other goodies up front. That is a brand new rack, brand new, pretty much everything under the car is new.
And another problem I was having. This nut. So that is the original nut over there. This is a nut I found. And it took me like 4 or 5 different hardware stores. I even went to like the biggest hardware store in Charlotte. They didn't have anything metric, but shout out to Little Hardware. They have basically everything else but this nut. I ended up finding this nut at not Harbor Freight, Tractor Supply. And it's definitely the wrong nut. I haven't marked where I'm gonna cut it or where I think I'm gonna cut it. But it's the right thread. And I think it'll work, so gotta trim it so I can put like a lock washer under it or something, because that is a lock nut over there. But long story short, I had to cut this original nut off that looked exactly like that to get the factory stuff off. And my expensive, strange shocks and Viking coilover setup didn't come with a nut that's with the shock, so it didn't come with a nut at all. So I want to say fuck you, Strange, but at the same time, I haven't even been able to use it yet. But yeah, so moving on to the next problem I was having, my power steering rack bolts. My factory hardware would not work with the aftermarket K member, and it was supposed to come with some, but it did not. It was just missing out of the package 2 bolts out of this whole thing that I'm missing so far, so I'm not too worried about it. But I did have to run to a bunch of hardware stores to find those as well. Ended up finding some grade 8s that will work. My factory washers will go over that to compress the bushing. Just got to get a nylock nut.
Setting the motor in its home, finally. I was so happy at this point. Our smiles are ear to ear, as you can probably tell. As tired as we are, it's just like 4 o'clock in the morning too. So had the motor sitting in completely by itself. Trans was in, headers are in, distributor is in. Got my lower intake manifold on. You'll see here in a second, I was using a carbureted intake manifold with a carbureted lift plate on it to actually get the motor in there. Just literally just to sit it in there because I had it and made it easier. Yep, I'm stoked at this point. Pretty much a rush to get it to run or able to run. Get some of the front bracketry on there as well. As you can see, AC compressor, alt bracket, injectors, stuff like that. Just busting it, getting it done as fast as I possibly can at this point.
One thing I was having a little bit of an issue with when we started this is when we initially dropped the motor down. We weren't sure which holes to use. I had to clearance the headers there a little bit, still touching just a tad, but barely. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to get the engine completely level, because you can't see it, that power steering line right there. Well, the nut right there on the bottom of the motor mount, if I had it too far down in the slot, it would hit that and I couldn't get to the nut, couldn't tighten it, whatever. It was basically grinding into my power steering rack there. So we had to raise this side up, and well, actually both sides up a little bit, and I was worried about getting it level, but if you can't tell,
I have everything pretty much ready to go right here. Just a few final touches like the belt, the fan, fluids, but it's pretty much ready to start, and I'm going to get to it.